Okie dokie. We're here. Well, not too late today. We made it. We are live on a Tuesday in Maui, and I'm sorry, my fan is probably distracting. I'm gonna turn that off real quick. Yes, so we're here. Um, I am for some reason very cold because I just ate a smoothie, and that's what happens. So I was just having a really great conversation about allowing with a couple of my students today. Actually, we were talking about uh, the emotions of singing, like when you're singing an emotional song that really means a lot to you, um, how to let that come through without it completely destroying you. Um, and that is a very interesting thing as a performer because we are the leaders of the room, right? If we're feeling something, they're probably going to feel something, and so we need to be a strong enough vessel for this emotion, but not let it take us down to our knees, right? So we were talking about allowing ourselves to practice this song with being present to the emotion and rehearsing it enough times so that it becomes less of a sudden thing, less of a raw feeling, less like an immediate dagger to the heart, right? So when you rehearse that a little more than just singing for the first time and letting the emotions completely wash over you, after a couple times, it becomes to feel less overwhelming. And so you have to rehearse a little bit to find that balance of, yes, I want to feel this emotion, but I'm not going to let it take me down fully. Um, and this is also where it's a weird place to be as a performer because you have to find this balance between not feeling it so fully that it takes you down to the ground and still allowing it all to come through and out of you and for the audience to feel it, you know? So you have to be, you have to have strong boundaries and to know your mind so well. So, like, if you are practicing a rehearsed version of the emotion, it's not going to land in the same way as you just fully feeling that emotion, but allowing it to come through you and not sit on you and take you down, if that makes sense. So, um, it's really it's a thing you have to practice, but also don't practice it too much because it can be really prescribed and not as real when you do that. And so when you're really feeling that emotion, we as singers, we practice the overall act of emoting through our voice. And really, there's not a lot of technique to it other than just being in that emotion and allowing in every single moment and not letting the gremlin voice say, you're doing too much, you're doing too much, you're not doing enough. Why didn't you do it this way? Somebody else would have wanted you to do it this way. But as an actor, especially, I have learned that on stage, you can't hold yourself back. There's a certain amount of rehearsing that has to go into it, yes, so that you know exactly what's going to happen and nothing totally catches you off guard and gets you out of your rhythm. But when you're feeling an emotion, the thing that you have to do in order to fully express that emotion and as a human, because as humans in the audience, we don't know the prescribed I am sad motions, right? We only know to see when somebody is sad. Like it's just a thing that we get as humans. Like if you can't even, if you're not even close enough to see my eyes tearing up, like just the little teeny little movements in my face, little wavers in my voice will tell you that I'm feeling that emotion. And so we were also talking about the fact that when we're singing, even if you're not in musical theater and you're not acting, all singers are actors. All singers are telling you their story. they're expressing this emotion and they're feeling it so much that the imperfections in their voice are often those moments that we cherish the most in a song. So if I'm singing a song that means a whole lot to me, I'm not trying to do it completely accurately, right? Because that's going to get in the way of me feeling the emotion. And vice versa. Like if I'm feeling the emotion, I'm not really able to think about the accuracy because I'm not there in the emotion. I'm not in allowing mode. I'm in exact singing mode. I'm trying to be perfect. Does that make sense? Hey, Sam, welcome. I'm talking about allowing emotions through as a singer, just allowing in general. And so when we are in that moment of feeling, we can just do what our human body naturally does, when you're in that sad emotion, and people will get it just based on your body language and what your voice is naturally doing, not something that you had to necessarily practice, although it does take practice to learn the words, to learn the music, and practice being the vessel that doesn't break down from the weight of all this emotion underneath. And this is why singers and musicians are superheroes in my mind, because the average person feeling all these emotions would break down completely. Most people, what's their first instinct when they cry? Cover it up, right? We don't want to share that. Even some people, when they laugh, they cover their mouth because we're trained that showing emotion is too much. It's overwhelming, and as performers, we have to bypass that instinct and allow ourselves to show an imperfect face, an imperfect voice. Let some weird notes come out because you're so on the verge of tears that your voice is wobbly. That's okay. It's actually better, because people don't listen to music to say, oh my God, you're so accurate, right? People listen to music to feel some stuff. So if you're feeling the stuff, and if your voice comes out is maybe slightly different than you intended it to, but you're feeling it and you're allowing that to come through you, that's going to come off as a better performance than a technically accurate, pitch perfect performance. That's why people, watch live performances. There's a big difference between a live performance and a recording because of that, because there's the human element. And sometimes when you're listening to a recording, we don't realize, but we're comparing ourselves to a voice that has been doctored, auto-tuned. I'm not saying everybody does that, but most people do, honestly, nowadays. It's very, very slight and not noticeable. But most of the time we're comparing ourselves to this perfect version that has been auto-tuned, that has been pitch corrected, that has been had the breaths all taken out of it, and it's literally not a human voice anymore. And so we're comparing ourselves to this view of perfection that we've been trained to sing along with and to judge ourselves and compare our own voice to. And that is where we get into a lot of the walls that we put up around our voice. Like, oh man, I was singing along with Ariana the other day and I hit the same note, but it just sounded off. I hear that all the time. It just sounded off. And you know why it sounds off? Because you don't have the exact same instrument as Ariana. You have a different size and shape instrument, and you literally could not make the same sound as her if you tried. Like if you get down to the frequency level, the scientific frequency level, you could not. And so this idea of allowing and being a full human and being fully in your voice, it's not how we're trained to listen to music at all. It's very exact. It's just overly high expectations of what our voice should be able to do. So when we fully allow ourselves to be in allowing, when we're allowed to be in allowing, We stop comparing every single note to the person that we're trying to emulate, or the original singer of the song, or whatever is in your head in that moment, or however you thought you should sound. And we're holding, right? And holding is not allowing. Tension is the enemy of movement. So if you want less tension, you got to move. You got to move your body. You got to go with the flow. You got to let emotions flow through you, even if it feels too vulnerable. It feels like you're showing too much of your real self. That's something that we really train as performers, as singers. We train in fully feeling the emotion in front of an audience, which is a very scary thing to do. And it's why we're superheroes, because we can do that, and then we can shut it all off again, put up our walls, and go about our day as regular human beings. And then get up on stage the next day and do it all again. It's a weird thing to do. You know, my therapist told me for many years, she's like, you performers just baffle me, because I have so much anxiety, but, you know, being seen by one person terrifies me, but I can go up on stage in front of 1,000 people and fully let out my emotion and cry up there and be totally fine. And it's like I live for it. You know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense theoretically, but it makes a lot of sense when you are a performer and you realize that there is no other way to do it than just fully allowing the emotion to come through. Even if you have wrong notes, even if you have a wobbly sound in your voice in one moment, these are the magic moments. These are the moments that you have looked up to in singers that you have been listening to your whole lives. It's not the perfection, it is the humanness in our voices that other people will look up to when they hear you. Hey, Chelsea, welcome. So all this is to say, the practice of allowing your imperfect voice out into the world is going to make you a better performer. It's going to make you a better singer, because your technique will only benefit from you learning how not to hesitate in every moment. Hear what I'm saying? So as we go through this practice of working on our technique, I almost always give people the assignment to go share your voice with other people, to go put yourself out there, share a couple videos on Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be, because you're not going to get the real world application of your nervous system acclimating to the letting out of imperfectness until you actually do it. Right? There's no way you can just sit and sing in your room for years and your nervous system will just magically get better at understanding that singing in front of people is less of a scary thing. You have to actually fully do it in the world, you know? So I talk a lot about, a couple years ago, I did a challenge for myself. People were doing these like 100-day challenges of stuff that they wanted to do. And I was like, well, obviously my thing is singing, because I had just kind of started to get back into singing my own songs out in the world. I had been doing some musical theater, but that's a whole different world as well. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do 100 days of singing. I'm going to post myself singing, no judgments, no disclaimers, every day for 100 days. And believe me when I tell you, my entire life changed in that 100 days. It was a real life magic shift. It was crazy. So as I started to put out my imperfect voice every single day for 100 days, I started to train both my actual muscles to allow more imperfect sound out. And as I started doing that, my sound actually got better. Funnily enough, when you start learning to hold back less, you sound better, because your muscles are literally not holding your voice in any way. You're not manipulating. You're not trying to fix before something comes out. You're committing. When you are not resisting, you're committing. And it's not about confidence, it's about commitment. I've been saying that super a lot lately to all of my students. I don't need you to have confidence before you sing in front of somebody. I need you to have commitment, because the commitment is the thing that moves your voice in all the right ways. You don't have to be confident. I don't remember any time that I've ever sung in front of anybody that I was 100% confident. Just does not happen, okay? Especially as an anxious person. Never an expectation that I am going to have of myself to be 100% confident when I'm singing in front of somebody. And you kind of have to start to realize that that's just a part of the human experience, is to have nerves. We have a nervous system for a reason, to take care of us, to keep us safe when actual danger is around. But the problem is that we have conflated singing and performing in front of other people with danger, for good biological reason. First of all, like, we don't want people to think we're bad or too much or whatever, because then we're biologically worried that we're going to get kicked out of the group. And evolutionarily, way early on, early humans, when you got kicked out of the group, you were dead. It was a death sentence, right? So our biology is still telling us that if you sound bad, you're going to get kicked out of the group and you're going to die, right? So this is not a failing of yours, right? It's not a problem. It's not a personality fault. It's just our nervous system. It's literally how we were built. So we have to train our nervous system to start acclimating to putting our imperfect self, our imperfect voice out there, so that it doesn't become like painful when you try and sing in front of other people, so that we can more easily go into allowing mode and commitment mode instead of hesitation and holding. Does that make sense when I say it that way? Hey, Joe. Hey, Kiani. Welcome. We're talking about allowing and how it actually affects your physical mechanism and the sound that comes out, and also letting out emotion as well as a performer, which is a very interesting balance to try and find. And so the thing that I want you to take away from this, if anything, is number one, your nervous system does its thing. It's not your fault. It just is protecting you. And this is where hesitation and bad notes more often than not come from. Sometimes it's actual technique that we need to work on, but most of the time it's hesitation. You're not allowing your full voice to come out. You're not committing to letting a sound out no matter what it looks like, because most of us don't have the daily training of letting our imperfect voice outside of our body, right? Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad that's hitting the nail on the head for you. Good. And so in order to counteract this nervous system natural like software that we have installed in us that we can't uninstall, it's just part of us, we have to train our nervous system a little bit every single day. First of all, just for yourself to hear your own imperfect voice, right? I don't need you to be posting on Instagram if you're in a place right now where if you sing, your gremlin takes over and goes, oh, that was terrible, you should never do that again. If that's the place where you're living in right now, we need to, first of all, get to know your gremlin, get to love your gremlin, start to accept that that's a part of you as well. And then maybe pick a safe person in your life to sing in front of a little bit every day. This is your homework, right? I'm going to sing in front of one person today. Okay, I didn't die. Your nervous system starts to acclimate just a little bit every day. And then the next day you sing in front of somebody else. Maybe it didn't go as well as did when you were in the shower. That's fine. This is the whole goal behind it, to let out imperfectness in your voice so that you're not always in hesitation, holding, fixing mode before even any sound comes out, right? So every day when you start to train your nervous system and train your actual voice to commit in the face of all these nerves, it's going to sound better. It's going to start to make big changes in how you perform, even if you're just recording in your bedroom, right? How you hear your voice and your reaction to that makes a huge difference, because it's such a quick feedback cycle, right? Our minds and our voices are so intimately connected that, like, even before you, like if you stub your toe, even before you feel any pain, what happens? You say, ow, right? Your voice is right ahead of everything. And so if you're thinking in your head, ooh, this note is not going to be good, guess what's going to come out? A manipulated, forced, fixed note before it comes out. You know, it's a real thing. So if you have not been sharing your voice imperfectly, I'm going to give you a challenge. I just started my cohort, my spring cohort, with their 60-day challenge. And I do this with every group that I have in Vocal Magic. Spoiler alert. We do a 60-day challenge. And this is to mirror the 100-day challenge that I did 2017 that changed my effing life. Not to scare anybody, but like I quit my job. I ended a relationship that should have been ended a long time before. It turned my life upside down in the best way, because I started to trust myself that I was worth sharing my imperfect voice out into the world. I was worth doing what I love to do, even if I wasn't where I wanted to be 5 years from then. You know what I mean? So we have to train ourselves that it is okay and acceptable to mess up. And honestly, most people that you're going to share your voice with are not hearing what you perceive as messing up either. They're hearing it as your imperfect, your beautiful human voice. You're allowing emotions through, and they're like, oh, that just made me feel the way you were feeling. And that is why we listen to music. This is why everybody wants to hear your voice, because they want to know how you're feeling. You know, even those little teeny, minute voice wobbles, the little teeny like movements in your eye muscles, like that is what people are after. They just want connection. This is why we listen to music. This is why we watch movies. It's all about the human connection. And if you are hesitating and holding yourself back, it's not going to land the same, you know. So all that is to say, find a place for yourself where you can start training yourself to let out an imperfect sound out into the world a little bit every day. Even if that today is just you're singing to your dog. Seriously, like look them in the eye, sing for them, and then remind yourself that everybody out there is just like your dog. They just love you. They just want to love you. They want to hear who you are. They want to see you for real. And maybe the next day you sing for your best friend. Maybe the next day you sing for a couple of friends. Maybe a week or two down the line, as your nervous system starts to get acclimated to sharing yourself imperfectly, for letting people hear your voice, which is already pretty dang good, I'm guessing, but maybe one line didn't go as you intended, letting people hear that, you're going to start giving your brain, your gremlin, and your nervous system evidence that you are safe to do that. And the hesitation and the gripping and holding and cutting off of notes will start to lessen. I can almost guarantee you, because this has happened for myself, it's happened to so many of my students. As you start to share more, the technique and the mindset work and the nervous system go hand in hand. They teach each other. They just build on each other. Sorry. The more you get acclimated to letting out imperfect sound, the more your technique is going to build on that. The more your technique builds, the more confident you're going to feel letting out your imperfect sound, right? It's all magical building blocks. I'm so glad you liked it. Watch them walk away. Yeah, your dog may not be a fan of your singing, and that's okay. It's just more practice and more evidence that you didn't die, even when somebody didn't like your singing, right? It's good practice for your nervous system. I'm so glad you like it, Keone. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I mean, this is what's worked for me. And I'm telling you, like, I can't stress enough how much that 100-day challenge just changed my life. It was me showing me that I can show up for myself in whatever state I was in. I can still share my voice, even if I messed up 100 times in the video, which I usually never messed up that much. It was just a little teeny bit.
not how I would prefer to put it out into the world, but I did it anyway in spite of my stupid perfectionist gremlin. And that taught me and my nervous system to chill the heck out over time. It takes time. It's not a overnight thing. So why it took 100 days. This is why my program is 6 months, because this stuff is turning your attention to it every single day. It really makes such a huge difference. And this is why I'm able now to step on stage with so much less visceral fear, right? So like I still have nerves. I'm never 100% confident in what I'm about to do when I step on stage, but I can step on stage and know that I am good enough and I can go with the flow enough that even if I mess up, for me is probably the only one who knows I'm going to mess up. Even if that happens, I can still keep going because it didn't wreck me. I am a pro at being the vessel for this creation, this song, this whatever I'm doing. And I'm not going to let my nervous system or my gremlin derail me. And that is the commitment that I've made to myself over the last 10 years. Hey, Yvette, welcome. So yeah, this is one of my most powerful conversations that I always have with my students. And if you are up for the challenge, I highly recommend doing it, because it will, like nothing else, like no other class you can take. Like I can pour information into your head. I can tell you everything I know about anatomy and technique, but if you don't put the rubber to the road and work on letting your voice out and training your mind and your nervous system that it is not the end of the world to share something that is imperfect, to share a wrong note out into the world, that is where everything is going to change. This is where all the technique gets used, right? This is where you become a more resilient singer, where you become a more potent singer, where you can fully let your emotions out, even in the face of, oh my God, my voice is wavery, right? This is where you become a better singer, because not because you're more accurate or you're more perfect, but because you're allowing people to see yourself and your emotions more. Ugh, I'm getting so excited. Ugh, I love this conversation so much. But it's a real thing. People don't want to hear accurate, perfect notes. Sure, if you go watch American Idol, that's what they're going to talk about a lot. But they also talk about, you gave me chicken skin, and this is why you're going to Hollywood, right? This is what it's all about. It's being your human self, being a singer that touches people's hearts in the face of imperfection. And nobody's going to feel what you want them to feel if you're constantly listening to your gremlin tell you you're not going to do this right. If you're constantly in fix it before it comes out mode, if you're constantly in I have to be a pretty singer mode, it's not going to touch people in the way you want it to. I think I've covered everything on this topic. Any questions about what I've been talking about? Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, highly recommend 60-day, 100-day challenge of sharing your voice with another person every day. Doesn't have to be on social media if you're not ready for that. That was what I needed in that time of my life. I needed to reconcile myself with social media, you know? Oh yeah, chickens again. That's a Hawaii thing. It took me a while to just to say it as I do now. Yeah, goosebumps is chicken skin. It really does. It feels like tingly. So yeah, this week actually I have a performance. I'm doing just one song in a little mini scene for a fundraiser for my local theater, and I haven't really learned the scene yet. I've practiced the song and I feel pretty good about it, but I don't have a whole lot of evidence for my nervous system to think that I'm not going to mess up, and that is okay, because I know that I have practiced my going with the flow skills and continuing to follow my creativity and my emotions, even in the face of a possible wrong note or forgetting words, which is the thing that's my gremlin, is constantly worried about me forgetting words because that has been my thing in the past. So it's probably going to happen. Honestly, I've just now admitted to myself that every time I have a show, I'm going to forget a word or two. And then it becomes less scary because I know it's going to happen. It's for sure on the agenda. I wonder when I'm going to forget a word. Cool. So that it becomes less of a scary thing for my nervous system to anticipate and tighten up about, right? I know it's going to happen. So who cares, right? So I can loosen up. I can use my many years of nervous system training to remind myself that I am safe, even if I sound bad, which that's a very subjective thing anyway. So yeah, I know going into this performance now that I can survive. I will make it to the end. Who knows what's going to happen, but I am fully committed to allowing my imperfect voice to come out because I love singing so much. And I want to make people feel things. Yeah? Do you feel that way? How committed would you say you are right now? If you were to go sing in front of somebody, how committed are you to allowing imperfections out? Give me a percentage. On the agenda. And then if it doesn't happen, success. It's like icing on the cake. I didn't know it was going to happen. That's a pretty cool feeling. Sometimes you do get that. What percentage would you say you're committed to allowing your imperfect voice outside of you right now? You don't have to answer. It's okay. But just think about it this week. Let me know. I'm always here. You can put it in my DMs and let's chat about it. What's the gremlin voice that's coming in that's stopping you from letting your imperfect voice out of yourself? 52%. Okay, 75%. That's pretty good. That's a really good place to start. 52 is good. It's more than half. I like that. We love that. So I would say this week, see if you can sing in front of a couple people. I know some of you have already been doing karaoke and things, so that's a really good practice as well. Make a commitment to sing in front of other people. And your commitment while you are singing is going to be, I'm going to allow what I hear in my head to come out without putting anything in between, without stopping it before it comes out, without worrying about what's going to come out before it does. Committed. Let's see if we can raise that like 5% this week. Just 5. That's fine. Doesn't have to be. I don't need you to be at 95% yet. That's fine. Just bump it up a little. See if you can sing from the gut. Right? Let it out. Let it fly. That's what I always say. See how that feels. And let me know what you think. I sing a lot around the house, but the gremlin takes over and I can feel that it's not my true voice. But I'm working on slipping in a bit more of what you hear in your head out in the open. Yeah, that's great. Especially if you have people that you live with, your house can be a place that you feel like you have to perform sometimes. Yeah, I get that because other people are always hearing you. But as long as you can work on slipping in a bit more of what you hear in your head, if you can let go, take your hands off the wheel, just this much. Doesn't have to be this. Just loosen your grip just this much. And I promise you, you'll feel like things are easier. A little bit, just a little bit. This is how it happens, a little bit over time. So that's your homework for this week. 5% is totally doable. Yay, we love that. Thank you, Chelsea. Cool. So this is what I have to say. This is one of my favorite conversations to have because it changed my life. And I know it can change your life as a singer. It's all about the allowing. It's all about the allowing. No, for sure. It's a real thing when you're singing in front of anybody. Like I have a roommate, like I don't care if my husband hears me, but like my roommate is a different story. Like when he's home, I have trouble fully letting it out because I'm like worried I'm making too much noise and stuff. And it's a real thing. So yeah, it's not just you. I promise. Most of the things you're feeling about your voice, not just you. I've heard it all from all ages, from all experience levels. Professional singers come to me and they go, man, I don't think I can hit that note. I'm like, you just did. You know, it happens. It happens all the time. So, yeah, keep that in mind this week. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to your nervous system. It's your programming. It's not a fault. It's not your fault that you are having all these thoughts and feelings. It's a totally normal part of yourself as a human being. And that's what we want to lean into, is the humanness. But over time, it takes time to train. So it becomes a little less of a immediate threat, you know, to sing in front of other people. So see if you can find a little more allowing this week. You know, even if you have to like close your eyes, even if you're in front of somebody, you have to like close your eyes and pretend you're in your car and nobody's around to get your nervous system into that safer place. That's totally fine. Do what you need to do. It's all good. Car is a great place actually also to practice this feeling of belting it out. And yeah, it happens. It happens little bits over time. The more you give yourself the space to be in those places of freedom and allowing, the more your muscles will remember how to get there, literally, physically, too. Yeah. Don't worry, Canny. You're not too late. We'll make it happen. Yes, add it to your homework. I always, I have 800 little notes to myself on my wall up here on my desk. It helps, I promise. Make a little sticky note, put it in your bathroom mirror, put it in your car to remind yourself, hey, stop holding your voice back. It's only hurting you. You're not hurting anybody else's ears. They can deal. Just sing it and commit. Commit to it. Make sure you're not hurting yourself, right? Don't oversing. Don't push. Don't force. But get out of the way a little bit and let it out. I promise you it'll feel a little easier. Okay, cool. I gotta go. I have another student in a couple minutes, but it was lovely chatting with you guys. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here with me. If you're not working with me yet and you're curious about what I do, today is the last day. I'm offering 3 workshops that I recorded a little while ago. They are all in a bundle right now, and they're half off. They're called the Love My Voice Workshop Bundle. They're all 3 an hour long. So it's basically like taking a month of vocal coaching with me. A lot of this stuff I talk about more in detail and give you exercises to practice. The first one is about breath support. I call it breath unsupport because it's all about the things we need to unlearn as a breathing vocalist. Oh, thanks for being here. It's so nice. I love the blue butterflies too. They make me so happy. The second workshop is called Space Cadets because it's all about space, inside and outside. And it helps you find accuracy with much less work instead of more work, which sometimes we think we need to be more accurate. It's less work. A lot of the stuff I was talking about today relates to that. And then the third one is how to get free of your gremlin, which is the most important thing for most of us. If we're perfectionists, anxious, overthinking singers, which we are, yeah, it makes a difference. So if you get a chance, they're half off today, last day. Share it with your friends. It's way more affordable than a month of voice lessons with me. So go check those out. Anybody that's already in sessions with me has access to it already, but this is a way to have a nice little runway. If you're thinking about working with me soon and you want to just kind of get to know the stuff I do, it's perfect. You could have my first basically month of what I talk about in sessions you can binge it for the next 3 days and you'll be good. Thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all. Sending you lots and lots of love, and see you next time.